This is mic number 4. Is this? Oh, yes.
You can keep both of them on.
Okay. Right.
There you go.
Yes, it is.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Mayor of Newport, Jan Kaplan. Good afternoon. Oh, that makes you very proud. Good afternoon, buenas tardes. I'd like to welcome you to Newport High School and thank you all for coming out today for Senator Wyden's annual Lincoln County Town Hall. Before we start the town hall, would you please stand, if you're able, and would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, for all. Before we begin, I'd like to recognize the elected officials who are here. I see a guy who's always here, Representative Dave Gomberg. And I believe I saw Commissioner Casey Miller. And my eyes aren't that great. Are there any other mayors here? I'm the only one. What the heck? I know they would all be here. I would like to recognize there are some city councilors. If the city councilors who are here, would you please rise? Stand so people can acknowledge. Thank you so much. I now have the pleasure of introducing our County Commissioner, Walter Chuck, who I've gotten to know much recently, and give him a warm round. Thank you, Mayor.
Before I saw Sherry Brubaker here from Val Hoyle's office. Sherry, you want to stand up for a second? There she is. Hi, Sherry. Thank you for showing up. So I'd just like to go over the ground rules for today's town hall. We have been advised that for your safety and the safety of all participants, everyone will need to remain seated in a chair or on a bleacher during the town hall, unless getting up to use the bathroom, or if your number is called to ask a question. If you refuse to stay in your seat, you are violating the rules of this town hall that have been established to keep everyone safe, and you'll be asked to leave. Restrooms are located outside the gym. The entrance doors where you came in are also your exit doors to use when leaving the town hall. The process for asking questions today is as follows. If you want to ask the senator a question today, you need to have a ticket. They were offered as you were coming in. If you want to ask a question and don't have a ticket, raise your hand and staff will get you one. I'll wait for a moment while you get a ticket. Anybody else need a ticket? Okay. In the interest of time, we ask that you keep your questions brief. We want to be sure that we can get to as many folks as we can today. Staff have also provided comment cards at the entrance. That is an additional way to offer your questions or comments. I will call out a few tickets at a time, usually 3 at a time is easiest. I will read the last 3 digits of the ticket number. I will repeat, I'll read the last 3 digits on your ticket. If your ticket number is called, please raise your hand or stand up. Please wait for staff with a microphone to get to you. The staff member will take your ticket and will repeat the last 3 digits on the ticket. Please state your name and then you can ask your question so everyone can hear you. After the senator answers, I will put another few tickets and announce the last 3 digits of those. Reminder, open to all gatherings like this town hall. Only work if everybody respects a person's right to speak after I call on them when their ticket is drawn. I recognize many people hold strong views, but please respect the process throughout this town hall and do not confront anybody you disagree with or who may not be following the rules designed to keep things orderly and everybody safe. Again, thank you for the safety, and for the safety of everyone, please remain in your seat unless you are leaving the venue, going to use the restroom. So thank you. I'll turn it back over to the mayor.
I now have the honor of introducing our Senator Ron Wyden. This is Senator Wyden's 1,138th town hall. And we are so pleased to host him here today. It's part of the commitment he made to Oregonians when he was elected U.S. Senator, namely to hold an annual town hall in every one of Oregon's counties every year. When he's in Oregon representing us, he's the ranking member of the Senate Finance Committee and also a member of the Senate committees on budget, intelligence, energy, and natural resources. In Oregon, we know Senator Wyden as a senator who listens. I want to take just a moment to thank him for his work on fighting for health care for seniors, for rural areas, and for Medicaid funding, for being a champion for environmental and climate issues, for providing leadership in the Senate on holding the current administration accountable for cutting health care and other safety services, for continuing to fight for federal infrastructure investments, and for roads, bridges, and water systems. And I have to mention, in 2009, we worked with Senator Wyden. The reason that we still have school-based health centers in Lincoln County, one of the reasons is that his staff and he worked very hard to get an earmark that's helped to save our school-based health centers. And I personally want to thank you for that. So without further ado, because he didn't really come here to hear me, Senator Ron Wyden.
Thank you. And how great it is to be looking out at the faces of democracy in this community. Now, usually I start with a short bit of information, like a couple of issues we're going to talk about today. How many of you want the Coast Guard helicopter back? We're going to talk a bit about that, but I'm here on the ground because I want to know what's going to happen in the air and make sure that people can be rescued in the ocean. How about it? And one of the most important reasons I'm here is because of the fishermen's wives. Let's give them a round of applause. I talked to the Coast Guard commander about an hour or so ago. He's a very pleasant guy. He was sincere, but his answers to the questions we've been asking were unacceptable, and we're going to stay at it till we get answers. So, will this community accept non-answers? Are you going to stay silent? All right, we're going to talk about what we're going to do together to turn this situation around. We've spent a decade fighting to not have to go through what we went through this morning. And we're going to mention a couple of times that Donald Trump signed a document in his first term saying we wouldn't have to do this again. I'm going to hold him to that document. And the reason this is so important is for fishing in this community. Minutes matter. The weather is so cold. We can't take risks. So I want you to know we're going to go right to questions. There's no subject off limits. And we're going to stay at this question of getting the helicopter back and making sure that the community is safe from the abuses of ICE today. Here we go. Okay. Let's go to it. You can have mine too.
Okay, number 254, number 243, and number 207. You're one of those. Please raise your hand. You get me with my.
We're going to take a few questions first, and then we've got a little business to do as well that I think the community wants to have us tackle.
Can you all hear me? No. Isabel, can you turn on 2, please? Can you turn on 2? Is that better?
Okay. Chairs, mics, we're ready. Yes.
Hi, my name is Lincoln Collins, and people pay and here. And one of the things, it's a little bit of a question and a little bit of your insight on. The first thing I thought of when they talked about the detention center was not the detention center itself, but was the possibility that it might be a holding place for departing from our relatives and loading that up there and shipping them out into international waters somehow. And was wondering if there's been any kind of discussion or awareness from NOAA about whether that's even a reasonable thing that could possibly happen.
Well, I don't think it's reasonable. Can you hear? How's that? I don't think it's reasonable. And let's put it this way. It's very clear we're going to have to watchdog every step of the way what goes on with respect to NOAA. Because I could see a backdoor kind of strategy where they were pretending to run some kind of government program or new one, but use it as something that would support ICE. And I want you to know on my watch, we're not going to let it happen. NOAA is a treasure for Oregon, but it's a treasure for our country. We're not going to let anybody mess with it. And why don't we, while we're getting ready for the next question, do our little bit of business, because it's very important. And I want to recognize a very special young woman who has joined us today. And I saw her incredible remarks. Wow, were they powerful online. And she spoke up at a recent Newport City Council, real Adama Udama. And I so appreciate her speaking out on behalf of her dad. What a courageous speech you made. You made us all feel that our future is going to be safe and prosperous with young people like yourself. Tell us a little bit about why you wanted to speak out. And thank you for doing something so good. Thank you. I can't hear you. Thank you for doing something so important for the community.
So I found out a lot of people have about I don't have who was getting harassed by that. I found out that it's because it opened my eyes to see a lot of people speaking out. It made me realize a lot of people do. My father was a kid. And he got scared. I want to look. If you get stung by ants, don't be afraid. Speak up and stand up for yourself. My father did not stand up for himself. He got scared. I knew that realizing that it might be a loss. That morning, September 17th, I never got to say goodbye to my father. Even because I woke up and I got ready for school. And then I woke up every single time he takes us to school. And he was sleeping. So me and my siblings saw. I had this weird gut feeling that I've never had. And I talked to school, went to the and I forgot about it. And in fourth period, I got called up. It's really not normal for me to get called up and go home. Because I always get go home if it's an eye doctor's appointment or doctor's. But I would let who would pick me up? It wouldn't be so strange unless I asked. And I got cleaning up, and that's when my other cousin told me what happened. She did not know what would happen. My mom got harassed by ICE. They had told that everything that hurt, and me and my sister were under arrest. So me and my sister are American citizens. We were born here. And she got arrested because we and the other citizens did not do anything. We didn't do it, and that's when we harassed.
What you did was courageous, and thank you.
Everyone here wants to help. No one wants it gone. No, I don't think anyone here wants the ICE facility. If the ICE facility was here, it would drive up a choice. No one would want to come because how bad. Thank you.
Thank you. What a statement. What courage. All of us on our feet. I'm on my feet. Thank you so much for showing us the courage so we can defend our loved ones. And I want it understood that along the way, there are some other things we need to do to have responsible programs in government, and starting with identifying all these people that are wearing masks, because I think that's high time too. I've proposed legislation to do that, and I think it's in line with your courage. So thank you for speaking out.
The next number, 254207. Raise your hand. 254207.
Sometimes people, is that working? How's that? Sometimes people get shy and don't ask their question. And the student at a couple of meetings recently said, we better ask our question because otherwise this dude is going to come to our house. We don't do that, but we want to hear from all of you with your questions.
254 right.
I had seen that the initial proposal for the guard was removed and put back, but I have seen speculation about private landowners being prompted about whether or not they would be open to the facility, and kind of wondering as a community what we would do if that were allowed.
You're talking about this community and where it stands. Nobody has any answers to this, which is why we all feel so strongly. I met with the local officials in the morning, then we had that wonderful group that the fishing families arranged, but we're all in the dark. And the man who came today, I said, it's kind of you to come, but it would be kinder if you had some issues to respond to folks on. And he really didn't. He basically said at one point, well, it might take, what did you say, 2 years to sort out the period with respect to various staffing requirements. And I said, 2 years? We got 2 minutes when people are in that icy water. So your question is a little bit too logical for Washington, D.C. right now. So I'm going to get you an answer. We're going to get answers to what we heard about today because we were told by Donald Trump himself to put his name on a document saying be consulted. We were told we'd be consulted during Trump 1. We are going to insist on
Last three numbers, 207. 207. That was me followed by 283.
207. Thank you very much for coming. Secondly, I would like to introduce part of an email that I sent to Senator Anderson. I said thank you, Senator Anderson, but we don't want ice facility anymore. Yeah. He told me that essentially the ice detention facility has been dropped, and we are attempting to get clarity about the helicopter transfer, but even that is not creation, and as a real life language, it's so it wasn't much of a satisfactory answer. The question is, what, if anything, can we do to get Republican politicians and other public leaders and friends to wake up and to apply pressure to the Trump administration and obtain their democracy?
First of all, it's a great question, and it was answered essentially the last time we had to deal with it. There was a bipartisan effort, which is what, in effect, was codified by this appropriations matter that Donald Trump signed off on that was Democrats and Republicans. So when Republicans say, oh, it's a big deal, or it's not a big deal, that's not true. They signed off on a document to make sure that everybody, blue and red, and Democrats and Republicans, would be consulted. What I'm talking about is insisting on it. Who was the person who you wrote? An Oregon State Senator. Yes, this is going to be a federal issue because it's Coast Guard, and at the federal level, it has been bipartisan for a full decade. I think it would be fair to say it's been bipartisan for a full decade in terms of the support and eventually the signature of Donald Trump. It really started with Obama, and then Trump came in. Yes.
What can we do to get rid of that unarmed creek in Washington, D.C. left in its front? What can we do?
Well, we decided about 1,300 or so town meetings ago that we wouldn't make these overtly Democrats and Republicans like it was the local county political debate. I will tell you that what you're doing today, there probably are no town hall meetings in America today with the size of this one. So call your friends, say hundreds of people came out to talk about what they wanted. tell them to get it started. That's the fastest way to have political power in America.
Saturdays at Highway 101 and 20, we have at 12 o'clock. There's a lot of signs, and we get a lot of thumbs up and a few others, but we are taking our community engaged. Please join us.
Highway 101. Highway 101, be there.
Okay, the next three numbers we have are 255, 282, 288. You have 255, please raise your hand. The next two are 282, 288. Please stand up.
This is 255. Hi, I'm Nancy Nash from Newport. What are the legal actions Lincoln County or the city of Newport can do about the ICE detention facility? I was really surprised at the last meeting I went to that I don't think anybody talked about the litigation regarding this. I don't know if there is any, but what can our city attorney or county attorneys do? Is somebody working on this?
Well, as I understand it, maybe the fishing wives want to add to this. We've already filed suit to get the helicopter back. And the attorney.
But I'm talking about specifically the ICE
Right.
Detention Center.
I
don't want anything to be overlooked.
I understand that. The first thing we have to do to really win on ICE policies is to make it clear to people in this country that Donald Trump is not doing what he said he would do in 2024. He said on immigration, he was going to go after terrorists, drug cartels, murderers, people committing violent crime. Nobody said that he was going to go after that little girl's dad. And so what we've got to do to get a realistic immigration plan to deal with the people, particularly those associated with these abuses at ICE, is we've got to make sure that the country understands what's going on. We need the rule of law to make sure that people aren't abused. We heard about her father here today. And eventually, you can get some legislation. But right now, what we've got to do is make the case that these abuses are so flagrant, I don't believe they're constitutional, and they're against what Trump promised. So that's my sense of the next step. Thank you for asking. And we ought to talk about the city and the fishing families, what they're doing, but they've already filed suit. Mayor?
Just quickly, the city has engaged outside counsel. We look at what our options are. We will be pursuing every option that we can. We're adamantly opposed to ICE facilities here, to a unanimously on our city council. And I can't give you specifics, but we have engaged them. We'll probably be looking to fundraise at some point if this goes someplace. And as things come out, as we're able to talk, we will get the information out to you.
Great. Let's hear from the fishers. Can we have the staff bring something, Grace, to these nice fishing folks, fishing families? They'll tell you a little about the litigation.
So I'm happy to talk a little bit about we went into litigation 11 years ago to keep our helicopter here. It's been in our community for 4 years. It's saving lives that wouldn't have been saved had it not been here. And it's really important for us to fight why all of our local politicians have been backing us. We fight on them, what they can do to us. But we're at the point where a lawsuit, we feel like we have a clear chance for winning. When was the last time? There were things that were put into place to keep this from happening again. So they did not follow the law. They are breaking the law. We had no communication prior to this. We have no current communication. So our only resource right now is work.
And we've
Still be collaborating with this, however, it's not a monetary loss. This is a loss to pay our own. We are trying to follow an injunction so we can have it back before the start of the crab season. And we have to say, it's not just us fishermen that are looking at the we have all of our residents, our tourists, we have, our surfers, our golfers. This helicopter is for our whole community, and this reaches 100 miles wide. So we are really, this is an essential thing that we need in our community to save lives. So it's not about fighting for us, it is about saving lives.
And we have been at it in this community since 1987. Some of you may remember Congressman Les Coyne, who was the congressman from this area. He was our senior member. I was the junior member. I was his sidekick when he retired. I got the job. We've always worked in a bipartisan way in our state to protect fishing and to protect this community. And when I was listening to the commander, who, as I say, was a pleasant guy but didn't have any power to do things, I said, we're going to fight this. And this time we are going to win it for this community once and for all.
Thank you. Thank you. I am opposed to using the helicopter in the ice facility, and thank you for all of that. I have a question completely off topic. I'm a senior citizen. We are getting a very small cost of living increase that is high in line with consumer price index, and for urban emergencies that have strong increase in apparently different kinds. The analysis is for the elderly, and there's more of an emphasis is more of a rate on insurance premiums. The cost of living increase next year could be not almost entirely by the cost of the increase in my Medicare premium for all.
You're going to get hit by a big Part B increase.
Exactly. So I'm going to have all my Medicare premium in the deductible. And we have $156 for the year to pay for increases in groceries, household goods, and utilities. If there, I understand you have to amend the law to change the consumer price index is tied to. Can you do that?
I'm looking at it. Part of the problem is the COLA, for the most part, is pretty accurate for younger people, but it isn't for older people who can have big expenses even if they have Medicare. So I'm looking at it, and what I think we also need to do is end some of the big insurance company ripoffs here and put that money into your pocket as well. There's one in particular that is particularly outrageous. It's called insurance upcoding. And essentially what they do is they say if you have a little sore on your leg, the insurance companies say they're going to make a big deal out of it and say you're going to die, and they ought to be able to bill taxpayers for a huge amount. I'm going to get rid of insurance upcoding. That's one of my priorities, and get it back to you, the money.
Number 282. Raise your hand. 282. Okay. Next three numbers. Last three. 214, 224, 246. Please stand up.
You started off shy because you got up slowly. You're on.
214.
Buenas tardes, señor.
Buenos Aires.
I have a question for you. Under Bush, there was an amnesty program that was solved a lot of bills that are going on right now. Any guy for such an amnesty, because I don't hear anything for undocumented.
Trump is obviously going in the exact opposite direction. Part of what I'm trying to do is get help for folks, for example, who pay into Social Security. These are people who are making our country stronger and helping our nation, getting more relief for them. But I think it would be fair to say the Trump people are trying to take the immigration debate in exactly the opposite direction. Now, the irony is George W. Bush and Ted Kennedy wanted to have comprehensive immigration reform that could include some of that. And I would be very interested in that. But Trump, if I can be really blunt, is trying to take everything in the opposite direction.
I just want to say, tell us where to contribute. Okay.
You go to newportwashington.com, you have a donate button, and we will accept all contributions right now.
One of the things I'm going to tell the Trump people next week, the week after the holiday, is don't mess with the fishing wives. You'll regret it.
I'm going to place it here for Newport Council. What can we do as a community and as a state to combat these ICE raids that are happening throughout Oregon? It seems to recognize they are raiding job sites near schools and churches.
Well, first of all, the Trump people have actually said publicly that they're not targeting those places. So if you see evidence of it, which I believe is going on, let me know as quickly as possible, because they have actually made statements that they're not targeting it. I don't believe it. So let me know. And your other elected officials as well. Good for you. Let's give them a round of applause. Very important thing. Very important thing.
The next following three numbers.
Hi, I'm John Wood. I recently read that center in Alaska was a great early warning tsunamis here in Oregon and Washington. Anything to be done about that?
Well, I think it's part of the Trump anti-science agenda. And this is really, really damaging to this community, to Oregon, and the country, because if we don't make these scientific investments, particularly in things that are going to create jobs, China in the competition will. And I want it understood that I'm vehemently opposed to the Trump anti-science agenda, and I've stayed on the budget committee pretty much for the purpose of supporting science funding dollar for dollar. It's good for Oregon and critically important to the country.
The next three numbers, 338-253-211. Please stand up.
I can't believe I'm standing under a basket. I wish I could dunk.
We have 253.
Hi, Senator Wyden. I'm from Newport, and I very much support the comments and questions from community members regarding healthcare and also preventing ICE from coming here. And I imagine those should be related to that. As a Jewish person, I find what's happening in Gaza right now to be unconscionable and also. And you voted to protect continuing conflict, but you've also expressed desire to protect community Gaza. And I wanted to ask, where do you stand on these things now?
I'm supporting now surging aid to Gaza. It is horrifying what is going on there. It's immoral, and I strongly support it, number one. Number two, I don't believe we're going to get the change we need unless Bibi Netanyahu is replaced. And third, I feel very strongly about bringing together a two-state solution, Israel and Palestinians, a joint cooperation. And I wrestle with these issues constantly because it is horrifying to watch what is going on in Gaza. It was horrifying to watch what Hamas did. And as a first-generation Jew, I followed carefully their threats to continue it. So you're absolutely right. We need fundamental change. We need improvements in humanitarian practices. And Bibi Netanyahu needs to go.
So I agree with that. 338.
So thank you very much for having the board and concerned about that as I'm very, I feel like I'm well schooled. But what I don't see is where accountability comes from and where consequences come from. We know Trump and others lie. We know that they don't ignore the laws. But when and who will be accountable for all of what's going on? I understand about and all that, but there needs to be something to take mass off of ISIS.
That's my legislation. If I had my way, it would have become law yesterday.
So I'm trying to figure out how we get there, because I feel like I'm not criticizing the government from here. But I hear a lot about what's wrong. But what I don't see is a pathway to holding people.
Great question. Great. One of the best paths to holding people accountable is what I call follow the money. JP Morgan, one of the country's biggest financial institutions, in my view, looked the other way on Epstein consistently. And my investigators, and we recruit our investigators like I'm going after Damian Lillard. You know, they're the best. They found that JP Morgan did not report 1.3 billion suspicious transactions. I'm going to make sure that everybody in those kinds of circumstances is held accountable. And it's why the follow the money issue is so important, because the Justice Department is looking at all this Epstein stuff and putting me down and rolling my eyes, because I think Pam Bondi is not going to be working too hard for any real accountability. You follow the money, you have copies of the checks, folks. That's why it's going to work. Yeah, one more money question. And where's Gary Ripka? Gary's going to... Great. Let's have this one, and then we'll hear from Gary, who's doing good work with the fishing families. Yes, sir.
I was just wondering if you look into the purchase of
price of the National Enquirer before it was that?
I don't read the National Enquirer all the time. Well, look, I mean, the point really is what we found at J.P. Morgan, get this. Yeah. Well, what? Yeah.
Use it as a side hustle for girls.
Okay, we'll take a look. What got us on J.P. Morgan was Epstein on one J.P. Morgan account made 4,725 wire transfers. 4,007, procuring women, working with billionaires. He made himself a very, very wealthy man when he started out as a substitute school teacher. That's why we started there. Gary, you want to go up here?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank you for coming in. I appreciate it very much. My membership last year was 85. For those 85 vests, we have 3 to 5 handicapped. Looking at close to 5. This helicopter thing is not just about saving lives in the ocean. It's about the loggers when they have an accident. The outreach. It's not just the Newport. Everybody knows. Everybody is connected. You don't know a fisherman, you know somebody. It reaches to Toledo, Celeste, Yahoo, Ball, all these places, giant islands of people. It isn't just fishing, it's the tourists. And last year, fall, Baltimore, there was a small bay that was injured and was stuck out to the dock. That helicopter had been here. Half hour later, it was there, and then we did. That's what we're talking about. Talking about lives, our community. And I appreciate it. I think it's a mark, icon. It's not red, blue, anything. It's all of us as a community. And we need you.
Well, that's why I'm here. And I don't think there is an economic multiplier that's close to fishing, because it's restaurants, it's equipment, it's tourists, the list goes on and on. So let's give Gary a big round of applause. Great leadership. Gary for president. This is not a political meeting.
Number 211, and then 202, 223.
Thank you, Senator, for being here. My name is Lisa Bell. I am here speaking as Executive Director at Lincoln Science Center and the Associate Vice President of the Research Operations. Hatfield Marine Science Center is the third largest marine science center in the country. I am also on record here pertaining to safety, and I will add my voices to those of the commercial fishing industry, the fishermen's wives, and the countless individuals who go to sea recreational. We at Hatfield Marine Science Center have hundreds of researchers and students on the water off the coast here every year. The loss of Newport Oregon increases the risk of our marine operation. We absolutely need U.S.
helicopter, and we need them because they're a path to more high-skill, high-wage jobs. I'm looking at all those wonderful young people in the future. What we want them to do is have a chance to be treated fairly, to get ahead, and go to the Hatfield Science Center. That's where you guys ought to be.
Thank you, Senator, for coming today with us. And thank you so much for don't know we had a meeting with Senator Wyden before, as we're referring to with the family. He was postcard as well. I'm with the Commissioner's wives. We were able to talk to the commander, and the answers that we got were less than sufficient. If anyone in this room thinks that you can survive an army for 2 hours, please raise your hand. So even
How about 2 minutes?
I also don't believe my father, my son, my brother, and all the rest of my family. And unfortunately, in our group, maybe some people don't know, that we hold people's hands that their family members didn't come home. We drive to their homes and we hold on to 22-year-old boys' hands when they survive because a helicopter pulled them out of the water. The things that we have seen in our families, in our community, we can't stand for this. And we thank you, Senator, for coming and standing with us. But we also want to continue to ask the hard questions. What is the next step that you will do as United States Senator to support our community and the other communities like our community who are also fighting for their helicopters and life-saving equipment? Our local Coast Guard station has also lost 52-foot boats. Those were retired. We have less boats than we used to have. And everyone's seen our fleet, the boats are getting bigger and bigger. We talk about NOAA, we talk about research boats, those are big boats. We can't kill those boats in out there. So if you are in an emergency, there's one thing that can save you, and it's a helicopter. So we thank your community for being here today.
Well said. Let's talk about some of the next steps. We talked about the lawsuit, and I think it's important that we all support that because it's the rule of law. I talked about Donald Trump complying with what he said he would do, which was to consult with all of you. We heard today about staffing, and I thought it was a bunch of word salad because it was about, well, it might take such and such time, but then it might take 2 years. We said it's going to take 2 minutes to have another tragedy or something. So at least those 3 things are steps we can take in addition to the delegation insisting on we get answers to what we ask. Those 4. That's better.
202-334. 202-334.
I'm Steve Gravel, and I don't think that it's not up to them for if it was up or but I do want to thank some argument, and that's this year they intercepted the largest one in all of it. And they did that without orders that they're given, whether it's like I was in Vietnam, like and we were told to ignore our check. We're told to ignore our check. I was on the lead with you guys, so there was no way that both orders. 2 days later, we had just go ahead and say it. But in the meantime, what was happening? We lost 2 planes, 2 pilots, navigation, to the radio. So the cannons, 2 chief cannons, laid down the aircraft that was supposed to be because of had put and that's what takes all together to make these. We did it, and like I said,
Well, what I saw this morning was all these fishing wives saying, we love the Coast Guard. We know what you can do. Let's get going and do it right. So the teamwork that you're talking about, I saw with the fishing wives this morning.
334. Up in the back.
We'll get you a mic. I see 334.
After 334, 21059.
Hi, my name is Donna Hill. I have questions to address the issues of slave production.
I couldn't hear the.
My name is Donna Hill. I'm asking if there's anything I can do to address the issues that are being caused by the slave corruption by the Supreme Court.
Well, I've come to the conclusion that we need some court reform because we've got a number of judges who are basically going to be there for eternity. I would, for example, gradually expand the Supreme Court so that every new president got a chance to have a nominee and have some fresh thinking. But elections have consequences, and there's no question there are people on the Supreme Court that I don't agree with. I mean, one of the things that I did during this most recent government shutdown is I blocked the effort to set up a permanent abortion ban. This was something the right wing wanted, and I just put my foot down and said, we're not going to have a bill that did it. And if it had gone to the Supreme Court, I probably would have lost. But put my foot down and we won. No abortion. The point that the speaker is making, though, is that there is a real challenge for the future, and I want to open up the system. We're going to need some gradual approaches like the one I mentioned, get some fresh blood on. You know, yeah, and then we'll talk about term limits too.
Maybe somebody doesn't want to hear a few words. Check. When the numbers check.
Well, I didn't think perhaps somebody didn't want to hear a few words from me. First of all, I want to thank my friend Don Wyden, who always shows up for Lincoln County after Newport. For the helicopter, for the funding of our dams, for the health of our parents, for the education of our kids, Ron and Lucy were always here for us. Somebody has been asking about the challenges, and I'm going to share with you what I've shared with 800 of you at the city council meeting last night. And that I had the opportunity to share with millions more on
on the racial matters show. And that is that the federal government needs to show Newport some respect. They need to show us some respect and the simple courtesy of being honest with us. Because they snuck the helicopter out in the dead of night, didn't tell anybody. And now they're trying to sneak an ice facility in here, and again, not telling anybody. The senator has asked, our governor has asked, our city has asked, nobody will tell us precisely what's going on. But we've seen the evidence because they are continuing to talk to property owners about a place that they could base this facility. They are continuing to reach out to small businesses to see who can deliver water to some facility at the airport, who can take 10,000 gallons of human waste every day away from the airport. And there's good job postings online for pension officers, for bus drivers, for medical personnel. And we're a long, long way from Washington, D.C., but we're not stupid. That I found very disturbing, and it was taken off the beaches of Lincoln County of a white INS helicopter patrolling the beaches. I am not prepared to exchange the orange Coast Guard helicopters for white INS helicopters. We should raise an honest in the federal government about what they've got planned. And once we know what they've got planned, then we can begin to do something about it. And the alternative is that we continue to resist. And at some point, just if they try to sneak into our county, they'll quietly sneak out and say, oh, it's just a rumor, we never intended it to begin with. So I wanted to share that one because we've got this evidence that nobody will be honest with us. And I know that you were struggling to get them to provide that honesty and that simple courtesy of accountability. So we can chart our own destiny and have some conversations about what our community is going to look like in the future.
Great. Good point. And what David said is particularly relevant when you have a president who said he would do what it is we say we want. That's the irony of this. One point with respect to the person asked about term limits. You know, a big part of what we're talking about here today, we can debate any part of it, is people feel much of the political system is rigged. And one of the best ways we can change that is Citizens United has to go. The ballot. Did that gentleman get one?
259. Senator Wyden, for being here. Thank you. I want to follow up on the number comments and with the helicopter. That's a second threat to our and the ice system. It's a second threat to the economy and community. So, my question is, if the people are trying to insinuate are approaching local business, small businesses, do these businesses recognize that if they allow this to happen, if they participate in this, they will be essentially cutting the roads up from themselves and at home.
And my very first meeting with the local elected officials, and David was there, and the mayor was there, and there were several of the leaders here. That was what we talked about. And you can bet we're going to be reaching out to all of them come Monday, because we understand it's not just one company that's kind of being recruited. There's several of them. And we're going to be all over them starting Monday.
After 210, we have 342, 213, 280.
210. don't, and I just be, I go back to the report. Oh. I didn't have a good thing to say about the record. But what I heard. What my biggest issue is, I think, right now, and we have to say here, is that there's not been enough said about Ukraine. The foreign policy, I'm sure, seat of his pants, or maybe on the other, I'm not sure. He has driven us everybody crazy. How we that it is inability to think forward in an idea. That kind of we don't say.
I very much share your view. The headlines in the press and on our phones and everything this morning is that Zelensky has to make a tough call here because Trump is pushing him to essentially surrender, give up everything. And I think it would be an enormous mistake because Putin, I'm on the intelligence committee. My older child calls it the so-called intelligence committee. Putin will not stop at the Ukraine. If he gets to Ukraine, he'll just keep going and going and going. And the Wyden family knows a little bit about dictators. We don't want another one with more power. So I'm very opposed to what Trump is pushing Zelensky on as of this morning.
So my name is Tia from Florence. I was just curious, how many times can you betray the Constitution before you're considered a traitor? What will that process look like? And it would be the only way to actually move forward. I'm just wondering, is there like a threshold or before you're really considered?
Well, I don't know who you're talking about, but Donald Trump, basically all of the times that he was convicted of all of the crimes, was able to run for election and won the election. So if you're talking about somebody else, let's have it.
342-280.
342. Okay, 342.
Thank you, Robert, for being here for health conference. Thank you for why spearheading this. I really appreciate that. Financial involvement. And this is a fruitful parliament for this. I have a additional question for you, Ron. I have been pursuing the 4-year federal sanitary disaster.
Yeah.
I realized that I took it to Betsy Johnson a couple of years back. She took postal practice, got it off the governor's desk. I understand that it's a conference and it's not appropriate. The commercial salmon fishermen in Oregon, 2018, 19, 2021, for our declared federal salmon disaster. Can you give us any indication what we can expect?
We've had a bunch of fishing disasters and we try to get help when we can, but no comprehensive recovery plan, and I'd like to see yours. We need one.
I would appreciate some sort of movement on this issue. I understand that it's held up on appropriation. I was also told that this issue, you know what, I've been working with Erica in the commission, and she keeps.
Are you saying that there's been an appropriation made for this?
That's what we were told.
Well, let me do some checking with you and we'll get right back to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the fishing families know this. We kind of lurch from one disaster to another. I remember, we got money last year for pink shrimp, and everybody asked me about pink shrimp. Fishing wives have their thumbs up for pink shrimp. So go figure, we need a better policy than that, as valuable as pink shrimp are.
Check. 280. Thanks for coming, Ron. Anyway, yeah, I'm on the board. Hello. Anyway, a shout out anybody that wants to know what it's like to be picked up that, picked out of the ocean. 20, 30, 40. Amazing stories. Spike Walker, the author of Spike Walker. You read it, you haven't ever been out in the ocean. There's pictures. You'll read it one time. Amazing books. Good reading. Mandatory reading. The politicians take the damn hell out. Mandatory.
Okay.
You want to know what it is like? You want to know how insane it is on that ocean? And what a life-saving thing is happening? Spike Walker puts it right in the back.
I'll send one to Donald Trump.
When it comes to Donald Trump, then you go to the bathroom. Sick. I can't. He's just sick. Anyway, my biggest protest sign on the highway. When I protest, it's a big sign. And it says, his lips are moving, he's lying. If somebody lied to you 10,000 times, came up and said, watch out, that's perfect, you wouldn't even know. Why are people still doing this perfect when Trump talks? He's lying. Stop jumping. He says jumping. Stop looking when he says look. It's just BS from start to finish. I got so much more to say.
About 228 and 282. 228 and 282. Stand up. Two, 5, 6. 2, 5, 6. 240. 240.
240.
Thank you for coming. Hope you got better from COVID.
Yeah, I didn't touch you that day. Do y'all remember what happened? Out of nowhere, I was better in like 2 days.
This is but I'm not and I know there's a new forest, and it does not sound like it's very good. What do you know about the forest plan? So about
Well, what I can tell you is what they've done to the forest, and it's in the big not at all beautiful bill is they basically set it up to have big timber give all the money and all the rural counties in Oregon get zip. And I'm busy trying to overturn it. One of the most important bills I've written is the Secure Rural Schools bill. Probably know that we've been able to get $3 billion over the years on that money that comes from a portion of cutting timber on federal land. That's what we've got to bring back, and not something that just helps big timber.
203. 203.
Oh, I see 203.
My name is Tony Marcus. I want to thank you for coming out and trying to enforce the laws that are put on the books. The biggest issue seems to be we write laws, but we don't enforce them. That's not just on the federal level. For those of you here, it's on the state level and it's on the local city level. We have lots of laws. We need to find a way to make sure they're enforced fairly to everyone in the community and not just very specific points.
That's way too logical. Why don't we do exactly what the gentleman is talking about and start with the helicopter as the first rule to be enforced that's on the book. We're getting close. I see people leaving and I'm losing my voice. I've got a little more business. Abril, could you come on up here, please, for a minute? Come on up and join me. No, please sit down over there. That's what I brought it for. So we've been at it for almost an hour and a half. And my sense is there is no town hall meeting in America today as large as this one. And there hadn't been a bad question in the House. What have we been talking about? We've been talking about the helicopters and ice and science and healthcare and accountability and forestry. But as much as anything, what we're going to remember is going home and remembering a very special young woman, Abril, from this very high school. She's been courageous. We're going to need a lot of courage to do all the things we've been talking about for the last 90 minutes. Let's give the very last word to her, and I'll stick around and visit. You want to have the last word? Good.
Thank you so much for Lucy, who was up with me now at the city council. I want to say thank you to all of you guys who came here and support the fishermen and the Hispanic culture. Finally, reconciliation. Donald J. Trump said he was going to only pick the criminals who are like drug dealers, murderers, and terrorists. My father was not a drug dealer for any of these. He was an innocent person who obeyed the law, like everyone in the state of Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Hillsborough, Oregon. They are just innocent people who didn't do anything. Thank you.
And what I would say, because this has been such a valuable town meeting, and I've got a lot to be done so you can hold me accountable. For the last 90 minutes or so, this has been the Oregon way, and I particularly enjoy seeing all of you, particularly the seniors, speaking out for this young woman. She's going to be our future. To be continued, everybody. Thank you. Good job. Is it fun? Are you surprised?